let's get right to it now. We are going to play clips from last night's debate. Lee has showed them to a group of voters who responded in real time using handheld dials. And you can watch their feelings second by second. And the red line represents Republicans, the blue Democrats, and the yellow independents. We'll begin with the issue that polls overwhelmingly show is voters' top concern, the economy. Let's watch together.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession.
It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. Just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy.
Well, one of the things I noticed right away there, Lee, is that the blue line started to flatten and not dip so low down on that last one. He gets where people are.
He gets where people are in the economy. And that was a really interesting takeaway for me last night. I didn't expect to see independents tracking so much with Republicans last night, and they did. They wanted to hear the meat on the economy. They wanted to hear the plan. And while most of the voters that we spoke with agreed stylistically with Kamala, they said that she sort of performed better than he did on substance, on the issues on economy and immigration. They really resonated with him, and that was really what we were talking to a lot of the independent voters, and we saw that right there with that line.
Wow, 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 folks. You just saw that right there. This is exactly what I've been predicting. I was saying that in terms of the debate, all Trump had to do, he didn't have to go for the knockout blow. He just basically had to get across his points, and how he did it, I don't give a damn whether it was stylistically good or stylistically bad, whether he seemed to be mean or he seemed to be whatever. Who gives a shit? Nobody cares. All he had to do was basically talk about immigration, the economy, inflation, and foreign policy, and he did that. Yeah, did he talk about crowd size? Yeah, absolutely. Did he talk about this? Did he talk about that? Absolutely. It was 90 freaking minutes, folks. You're not going to be on point every freaking second. You guys need to settle down out there, especially those that are MAGA, that are Republican, that are conservative. He's going to be all right. Now, Harris, she's got her people in her corner. Trump's got his people in his corner. It's the moderates. It's those people in the middle. Those independents people keep talking about. And you saw what was happening. This is exactly what I had predicted, what I had talked about. Independents, according to the New York Times Siena poll, according to Rasmussen reports, independents, he is winning them in high single digits, 7, 8, 9. In some cases, he's winning them in low double digits. He's going to continue to do that, folks. There are no independents out there that are thinking clearly, that are going to say that are you better off in the last 3.5 years than you were under Trump. If they do, they're stupid, idiotic morons. They might be a little retarded at the same time. But, no person who's within the right frame of mind is going to say that the last 3.5 years were better than the Trump 4 years. You've got to be a freaking idiot if you believe that. Now, what I want to do is go back. Those dial things are so unbelievably important, folks. The independents yesterday. What have you been hearing on the lamestream media? What have you been hearing on anything but conservative ABC, the never been conservative NBC, the MSDNC, the MSLSD, the delusional network. What have you been seeing on Rachel Maddow? What have you been seeing on that podcast, The Bulwark? What have you been seeing on all of these, Kyle Kulinski, Secular Talk, on Midas Touch? What have you been seeing out there? And then Kamala decides that she wants to have another debate. Why? Because they don't think they won the first one. It's like Rocky 1, Rocky 2. I'm not going to give you another debate. But I want one. Of course they want one. They know that they didn't get the substantive thing of the debate. They didn't get the substantive part of the debate. They got the stylistic points. Who gives a shit about style? Nobody. Except the left. Because they don't want you to know anything about the substance. They don't want you to know what the meat on the bone is. They just hang the bone in front of you after they've taken the freaking meat off. Now, let's get back to where we are with these precious independents. Did you see them tracking the Republican line? Every time Donald Trump spoke about inflation, every time he talked about the immigration, every time he talked about foreign policy, when he talked about safety and security, the independents tracked the Republicans. It was like, Vine. They were all twined up all together. And the Democrats, they just separated. But what was the pundit saying? What was the political class saying? What were the elites saying? What were the establishment saying? Donald Trump, he lost. He didn't do enough. Bullshit! He did plenty. Did you see what was going on over there? Now let's go back and let's track those things again in real time, because folks, this is where the independents were. This is where I told you they were going to go. I was right about it, because like I said, when I'm right, and the left, they're wrong, because they're left. Let's go back to those dials right now, folks, and let's just track it again in real time. We'll slow it down. So here we are, folks, right at the beginning, asking the question, go.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as...
Look at the lines, folks. Look at the lines.
The best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What goal...
You know what this line means when the independents and the Republicans are tracking, when she's talking about her plan? It means that they're smelling bullshit, folks. They're smelling bullshit.
Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something...
16 Nobel laureates who are all leftists, who don't know a damn thing about the economy. All they do is teach, but they've never been in charge of anything, never signed a check, front or back, never built a business. All they've done is get into a group or room together with their nerdy friends and talk about leftist and liberal policies that are being affected by their stupid, idiotic ideas.
That would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession.
It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. Just
Look at this, folks.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences.
Look at her face. Look at her face, folks, over there. All she needs is a pair of those big old goggle glasses that you saw that like kindergarten or third grade teachers wear, so they can put it down to the bridge of their nose and look down upon you. Look at that face, folks. She was doing this the entire time of the debates. It is so weird. It was so freaking creepy. Somebody actually in her camp said, you know, Kamala? Oh, excuse me, folks. The Indian way to pronounce it is Kumala. Anyways, somebody in her debate campaign, her debate coordinator, debate prep team said, you know what? Yeah, make these kind of faces, Kamala, because the American people are going to love it when you look at Trump that way. They're going to say, go for it. Well, she did, folks, and she looks like an idiot. She looks creepy. She looks weird. Look at those lines when Trump is talking about his economic plan. The independents are tracking with the Republicans, and the Democrats are taking a freaking nosedive.
Like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country.
Look at that line of the independents. It's going sky high.
Buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy.
Well, one of the things I noticed right away there, Lee, is that the blue line started to flatten and not dip so low down on that last one. He gets where people are.
He gets where people are in the economy, and that was a really interesting takeaway for me last night. I didn't expect to see independents tracking so much with Republicans last night.
Here she's supposed to be a pollster, but she doesn't understand why independents were tracking so high, lockstep, okay, with Republicans. She has no clue, but she saw it, and she's just fascinated by that. Those of us that know why.
And they did. They wanted to hear the meat on the economy. They wanted to hear the plan. And while most of the voters that we spoke with agreed stylistically with Kamala, they said that she sort of performed better than he did on substance, on the issues on economy and immigration. They really resonated with him, and that was really what we were talking to a lot of the independent voters, and we saw that right there with that line.
So, Alexandria, you were formerly an independent. You're now a Republican. Can you speak to the issue why those two would track in your mind?
Absolutely. So I also just graduated college. I'm looking into the job market. I'm looking into the economy of housing prices, cost of food. And for me, at this point, it's not really about which candidate is the most poised or which candidate I like the most. It's about what the next 4 years will look like. And I do think that the economy under Trump was a lot stronger.
Ruben?
And that's how a lot of people feel, okay? If you don't like the guy because he tweets too much, or he gets mad, or he likes to fight back, or you think he's just a very mean, rotten person, oh, why does Trump, okay, talk so much? Why does he try to attack everybody? Who gives a shit? As long as his policies are benefiting America and Americans and your pocketbook, energy prices are down, inflation is down, gasoline prices are down, oil prices are down. America's standing in the world is great. Everybody is scared the shit out of America because America is strong. That's all that matters. Who cares about the other stuff? That's what she's saying.
I agree with that, except that I do think that the strong points were the economy. He should have gone out and ran with it. He did not run with it. I thought it was.
I just got to interrupt here. He just said, this guy Ruben, he says he just got to run away with it, talk more strongly in the economy. Hey, Ruben, were you listening at all? The independent line was at times higher than the Republican line on the economy, on inflation. What the hell are you talking about, man? Come on, bruh. He didn't talk about it enough. What? I mean, were we listening to the same debate?
It was more effective to do that. He should have done that. And
he did.
No issues came up other than what they talked about, which is pretty overwhelmingly override. It was an override on everything. It was not even specific, and I think he should have gotten more specific.
Well, and the moderators could have gotten more specific.
Absolutely.
They could have done some re-asks,
It was
too.
three against one.
Yeah, from a journalist.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go and see the lines for the question about flip-flops and about fracking. Let's take a look, folks, and see what's happening on those demographics and those lines with the dials. We're going to go to that right now.
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States, and in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases.
The independent line just went, okay? I mean, as this thing took a dive, they're all saying you're basically lying your ass off. Kamala, you're lying. I mean, the Republicans aren't buying it. The independents actually went even further down. This is exactly what we were talking about. But the pundits and the political class and the legacy media, they're not going to tell you about this. No way.
For fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil.
Defund the police. She's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like,
look at her face again, folks. Look at her eyes. Look at her lips. Look at her whole facial expression. She knows she's getting the crap kicked out of her over here. She is getting absolutely pummeled, devastated. I mean, this is Trump with the velvet glove. I mean, she knows it. And look, the independents are agreeing with Trump on this style graph. You can't lie about this crap, folks. You just can't.
she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, God. That was the killer moment of the debate, I think, folks. Kamala wanted her, remember, she wanted to basically say the same thing. Excuse me, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. Excuse me, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. Oh, you know what? I'm speaking there, Mr. Vice President. Excuse me. She wanted that moment. She didn't get it. Trump, though, on the other hand, hits her on this one here. Let's just go back a few seconds and watch that all over again, folks. Precious. This is, at least in my opinion, this is where, she just lost it all, folks, and he won it.
That stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out.
Look at her.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one.
So again, you saw something similar there where Republicans and independents are tracking.
He ate her for lunch there, folks, completely. The independents, again, were tracking on every single issue that Trump was talking about. They were with him 1,000%. 1,000%.
Together, and obviously that is per party, but independents supposedly don't have one that they've designated yet.
And one of the things that I heard from voters last night, I'd be really curious what you guys think, is that independent voters were looking for two things from Kamala. One, they wanted to hear more in depth on her policies. What was she really going to do for the economy? What was going to be different about the economy under her than it would have been under Biden?
Nothing.
And number two, they wanted her to explain why she's had so many changes. She couldn't stick, they wouldn't let her get away. We talked about it before. They didn't want her to get away with this idea of values. And so she didn't give the why that allowed people to authentically say you have a reason to change. And I think that's why you saw the independents were really up there with Republicans, and Democrats obviously were not.
So Something similar to what I asked Alexandria on the second question. That was about the economy. This is about public safety, police, and military, so to speak. The blue line there for Democrats was going down, and then it kind of flattened out when he got to what life is like in urban cities or urban areas. What are your thoughts on that?
Life in
Tell the
urban areas
truth.
are complicated due to a myriad of factors that are not present when we talk about rural areas. And so I think it's easy to make inferences that don't really make the same, that don't really have the same rationale when we talk about the differences between the two. But with that said, I think
Safety is safety, bub. Come on now, okay? He's thinking in his mind. He's doing the mental gymnastics over there, trying to think, how can he word this right? Safety is safety. Whether you live in the city, you live out in the boondocks, you live out in the suburbs, you live out in the woods, you live out on a farm. Safety is safety. Everybody wants to feel safe. Period. End of story.
it's really comparing apples to oranges.
No, it's
not
not.
the same. We have different needs and different.
Okay, let me ask it a different way.
What different needs do you have about safety? Oh, some people should feel a little less safer than others? Is that what you do? Have all differences on safety? Come on now, bruh. You got to come up with something better than that. The next thing, sorry here, folks. Didn't know. The next thing here is on Biden-Harris. They're talking about the millions of illegals that they allowed to come in. Let's take a look at those lines right now.
Also a big issue, which he brought up many times, and it's a big issue for voters. Here is the former president on that.
Criminals off the street, and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
All right, you can't miss it. I mean, at one point, those lines stopped going together, and independents started going up a little bit higher than Republicans. I mean, they were right up. What is going on with independents? And we better pay a lot of attention to them.
We better. And I'll tell you, it's really interesting because
What's so surprising there, Harris? And I mean Faulkner and the pollster here? They're like sort of shocked, a little surprised. Why are you surprised? Who has been the person, the president, that has been the strongest on crime and safety? It certainly wasn't bumbling Biden, the dementiated, yes, I said it, the dementiated old fool. We don't even know who's running the country right now, folks. It probably is Kamala. Biden doesn't know where he is, doesn't even know he's alive. But you saw where even the independent line, you saw it, folks, for yourself. Don't tell me that I don't have the pulse on what's going on out here, that I'm not right. I've always been right. This is what's happening. The independents are breaking for Trump. They're not buying any of this garbage that's coming from Kamala or the Harris-Biden administration, whatever the hell you want to call it. And Trump did an absolute masterful job. He got his point across, folks. You can say anything you want. Stylistically, he wasn't there. That he talked about other stuff. See, this is the nice talking points. Oh, Kamala, she got him to talk about a bunch of things because it sounds so good. It makes her feel like she did something important. Ooh, wow, Kamala. You really tricked him there, honey. You got him into it. You brought that mouse, you put that cheese out there right in that trap. And Trump just went for the cheese, and you got him. Really? Really? Did you see where the independents went to? Did you see that? Ah, beautiful, baby. Beautiful for Trump. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasser. If you've done so already, subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow. You all know what to do. Take a look at our other video links above and below. My final thought is always, when you're right, and I'm always so damn right. And when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.